Welcome to the Texas Embassy podcast.
Thank you.
Super happy that you're here. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, Lord. I am probably the weirdest mayor on the face of the earth, if not at least the country. A strange guy. I grew up in Detroit, inner city Detroit. Spent 4 years as a Marine.
Hoorah.
Moved to Texas, absolutely. Moved to Texas afterwards, became a cop, was part of Arlington's first SWAT team, full-time SWAT team, spent 7 years undercover buying drugs for a living, taught martial arts for 30-something years, went to law school in my mid-30s, became a lawyer, prosecuted environmental cases with a lady named Erin Brockovich, if you remember that movie. Got tired of making really rich lawyers richer, so I started my own firm. Then I got into the restaurant nightclub business. So I own a couple of nice restaurants and a nightclub and a law firm. And then about 6 years ago, I decided I was going to make a run for mayor when the seat became vacant. And lo and behold, they elected me. Now they've elected me 3 times total. I've just finished my last election, and I have 3 more years to go. So I'm a different kind of mayor. I've owned different businesses, from a tattoo shop to you name it. I've been involved in it, and a serial entrepreneur, I guess.
Dude, you are the coolest mayor. I wouldn't say the weirdest mayor. I forget what you said, but
I think weirdest is probably more
No, I would say that's the coolest mayor.
So,
mayor of what town?
Arlington, Texas.
Arlington, Texas. Okay. And I don't think the folks heard your name, sir.
Oh, Jim Ross. I don't think we said it.
There you go.
I may be better off if I don't tell everybody my name, and we can just say,
we'll blur you out in that way.
I'm John Doe, Mayor John Doe from Arlington, Texas.
You did say you were undercover. That is super cool.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a good time.
Did you have any brothers or sisters growing up?
I have a younger sister, but that was it. Yeah.
And how about, you mentioned the Marine Corps. What made you join the Marine Corps?
Well, I played football in high school, and I had some offers for some really small, no-name schools to play, but I wanted to play for the University of Michigan. And so I decided I'd go walk on the football team. This was back when Bo Schembechler was coaching in the late 70s. And to be candid, I was getting my tail handed to me. There was a snowball chance in a really hot place that I would even make the practice squad. So I figured the least painful thing for me to do was to drop out of college and join the Marines. So that's exactly what I did.
Did you have any family members that were in the military? Or you just...
Yeah, my father was in the Navy. When I told him I enlisted in the Marine Corps, he just laughed. Yeah.
It's a department of the Navy, right? Or I forget the terminology.
That's what some people like to say. Yeah.
That's probably for another podcast.
Probably.
Right?
Yeah. Don't get me cussing already.
That's right. We can edit that out. That's okay. Wow. That in itself, there's like multiple movies or books packed in there.
Yeah.
Number one, thank you for your service, both in uniform and then as a civilian in uniform. Yeah. I'm sure you've got some great stories.
Yeah, we had fun. I mean, you can't spend 7 years undercover without having a significant amount of fun.
So what made you go and become a cop?
I always wanted to be a cop when I was a young man. When I entered the Marine Corps, I even asked the recruiter, I said, is there a program I can get into to help me be a cop? And he goes, well, if you want to be a police officer, you need the leadership that the infantry can give you. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, that's what I need. I went in guaranteed infantry. So I wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer. It was like just hook, line, and sinker. They reeled me in. I went in guaranteed infantry.
There's a couple, now with Instagram, it's hilarious how the Marines are leaning into a little bit of the shtick, where I saw a Marine on an Army helicopter, and he whipped out this box of crayons, and he was eating the crayons and then handing it over to the Army guy, and he was doing the same thing.
I went to Dallas a few years ago, and I was speaking at a group of very high-ranking military officers over there in their association. And there were maybe 2 Marines out of this whole group of 75 to 100 people. They had a lunch buffet. It was in a beautiful hotel over there. And I said, listen, guys, I said, I drive all the way from Arlington to come over here and speak to y'all, and there's not one damn crayon out here in this buffet. I said, the least you could have done is had a crayon. And as soon as I said that, there was a retired Army general who stood up and walked up to the podium and put a pack of crayons up on.
Oh, I love that.
And I was like, oh, you did not call me out on that. So it was
It's almost
cool.
like a coin challenge.
It
Right?
was a coin challenge, yeah. But I didn't eat any that day.
Well, one, I know there's a lot of activity going on in the Dallas area, specifically in Arlington.
Sure.
Can you talk to us about that? Really, I think it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Some things that you have to shape, and it's something I think you're laying a foundation for. But I think our audience wants to hear that.
You know, I'll be honest with you. I knew we needed to create a real thriving Arlington, and the way I believed in going about doing that is job creation. How do we generate great jobs for the community? I am a weird politician because I call myself an independent because I think I'm just tired of partisan politics. I think most of us just are tired of it. Tired of Republicans complaining about Democrats and Democrats complaining about Republicans, and you get wore out from it. So I said, the hell with you both. I'm an independent, and I'm sort of right down the middle of the road, fiscally conservative, tough on crime, but I believe in small government, and that means stay out of people's bedroom and out of their doctor's office. I have no business telling people who they should love or marry. It's none of my concern. So my philosophy on business has always been that it doesn't really matter what your career is. You're never going to optimize your full potential if you don't know how to develop and nurture relationships. And I don't care if you're a plumber, I don't care if you're a lawyer, I don't care if you're an AI specialist, I don't care what your career is. Everything comes back to relationships.
Big time.
And if you don't know how to do that, you're missing the mark. So what we started to do in Arlington is we stay focused on not chasing business, not chasing events. And we have great, big, wonderful business. We have great, big, wonderful events. We focus on relationships. And when you do that, the businesses will come. Mm-hmm. The events will come. Those things will happen organically, and they'll stay there forever and a day. I think other mayors have done that previously. That's why the Rangers have been here in Arlington for 54 years now.
Wow.
And it's not because other cities haven't tried to get them. A lot of cities have tried, but our relationship is such that they've been unable to pull them away from us. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like removing a family member, right? It's going to be very difficult to do that.
Yeah, it's really tough. So we focus on that. I'll give you a great example. We recently brought an international satellite manufacturing company to Arlington called eSpace. And they came in and they said, we're looking for a city that can do X, Y, and Z. So we put our team together and we started putting together a plan on what we could do to help them meet their needs. And out of all the cities they met with, they chose Arlington. And this is a big facility. They're building nearly a 500,000 square foot manufacturing plant at my airport.
Wow.
The night before we were supposed to ink the deal, the CEO of the company calls up and he says, Jim, he says, I got to tell you, one of your competing cities has reached out to us and they put twice the amount of money on the table that Arlington has done. And he goes, I have to take this to my board. He says, what am I going to tell my board? And I just said, listen, I said, you ask them, who do you want to get in bed with? Somebody that understood your vision, that shared your passion, that got it, that saw your dream and worked to make it happen? Or do you want to get in bed with somebody that lies behind the log and tries to cut the knees out of the competitor right before the deal? And he says, I'll call you back. 2:30 in the morning, he calls me and he says, we had an emergency board meeting. We're staying in Arlington. They stayed with us not because we put the most amount of incentives on the table, but they stayed with us because they realized that we had the relationship that they wanted to have long term. And now that facility alone is bringing like 4,000 new jobs to our community.
Wow.
5 years, we've brought over 30,000 new jobs. We've increased the average wage in Arlington by more than 20%, and we have 13 new North American or world headquarters that call Arlington home now. And that's just in a 5-year period.
Through relationships.
Relationships is it.
Yeah, this is still, no amount of AI or, that's going to come online. This is still very much a human business and would make Texas very unique in that way.
I don't think it's any different than when we all have our favorite restaurants that we go to. Right. And I use that as an example because I own a couple. People like to go back to the restaurants, not just because the food's good.
Absolutely.
But because the people there remember you. You walk in there and they say, hey, how you doing? You want your same drink? You want this? It's those relationships. It's the connectivity there that make people feel special. That's what drives people back. And I don't care if you're in the tech business, if you're in AI, I don't care what business you're in. You do business with people you're comfortable with.
Absolutely.
If you're not comfortable being in business with somebody, you're going to shy away from them. And we've all been there. We've all had to sit down with somebody that within a few minutes you're going, oh, I can feel right now. I ain't feeling this. So it's real critically important in my book.
I mean, I don't have anything to refute about that, just to support what you're saying. I mean, look at the television show Cheers, right? The song itself, you go to a place and then Norm, they know about Norm. And what I've heard here, at least in Austin, is most of the stories of folks that remember the old Austin, it's always based upon a restaurant or a bar, that experience of knowing the friends and being a part of that. That's what they miss most dear about Austin and the change and the evolution of it.
Look at, we're both former military. What do you remember most about your service is the people you served with.
Absolutely.
You don't remember the missions you were on as much as you do the people you served with during those missions. And
that's why you fight alongside them, really.
That's really why you fight. And you're able to do stuff that you otherwise wouldn't think you'd be able to do, because not just your relationships with the people you're serving with, but your relationship with your God, your relationship with your family, your relationship with your friends and your colleagues and your community. It's how you touch the lives of others that really matter. It matters on how others look at you.
Arlington.
Yeah.
Is it at capacity already, or is there room for growth?
Yeah, there's always going to be room for quality growth, and I think that's where we're at right now. Arlington's landlocked. We're not going to be annexing any more property out there. We're not going to be growing from a geographical perspective. We will be increasing a little bit from a population perspective, but even as it is now, we're the 50th largest city in the country. We're bigger than Pittsburgh, New Orleans, St. Louis, Cincinnati.
Oh, goodness, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're about the same size as Tampa, Florida. So it's a pretty big city. We just happen to be right between two other really big cities. Dallas and Fort Worth are two of the top 10 largest cities in the country. People have a tendency to overlook us because they call it the DFW area, when in my book, it's always the DFWA area. And, we're going to grow, but we're being specific about how we do that. We want to increase some of the density, but quality density. We don't want to just riddle it with a bunch of Texas donut apartment complexes, if you would. Right. We want to be specific on what we're doing with that. So
yeah, we've done a lot of work with the Arlington EDC and that narrative. They've been great. So when you mentioned relationships, I was like, yeah, that's Arlington, 100%. That tracks. I've experienced that, and they are looking for quality. In fact, we just had I was at the, I may get this wrong, a Japanese.
Oh, you're talking about the Japan Texas Economic Summit.
Yes, sir. That was a phenomenal event.
Yeah.
Well put on, well executed.
It was great. They had over 500 people there.
Yes.
It was pretty cool. I went and spoke at the event, actually, and gave a welcome to everybody. And speaking of the relationships, I've met people while at that event that I have since been able to connect with, and we're working on other projects with, because we've created those relationships. And doing those types of things really enables us to do it. A good example, we have this little thing called the World Cup coming to Arlington. It has
Now you have to expand upon it.
9 games is being played in Arlington, more than any other city in North America. And it's literally going to be the largest World Cup in history. So we did something creative and created what's called Ambassador Row in one of our stadiums, Choctaw Stadium. And at Ambassador Row, we have 11 different countries that have taken advantage of the fact that Arlington is centrally located, and we're providing this free of charge to any country that wants it. They can come in and put their consul general into Choctaw Stadium so that they have people on the ground in Arlington able to connect directly with the residents and the citizens coming from their respective countries and deal with them as they come up with issues. They've lost a passport, they got arrested, something's happened. They have somebody right there positioned, ready to go. And it also provides them an opportunity for the dignitaries that are visiting, for them to come in and stage the dignitaries there as we move them around. And what's happened with that, because we've done it free of charge, we've done it as a courtesy and as sort of extending an olive branch
Absolutely.
to these folks. We've had countries like Jordan who came to me and said, hey, listen, the minister of the tourism in Jordan wants to come in and host this huge party in downtown Arlington, telling everybody to come visit Jordan. So
that's right.
We're bringing like 10,000 Jordanians and others into downtown Arlington just to have this huge party. So the Ministry of Tourism in Jordan is putting on this massive event so everybody can come to learn what Jordan is all about, with hopes that they can encourage people to visit their country. That comes with relationships. Now that has evolved into local Jordanian businessmen in Arlington who are connecting with the Jordanian businessmen in Jordan. And now they're starting to collaborate on what they can do internationally to help one another out. That's what relationships do for you. So I'm pretty stoked to see, what's going to happen as a result of this.
I am super stoked. That is exactly what our mission is. And I love that. I honestly love that, because the consul generals are primarily based in Houston, so they need a forward staging for that big event.
Oh, yeah.
That's how, we operate here during South by Southwest. We had the country of Western Australians come in and say, hey, look, just set up shop here as a basis of operations so that you feel comfortable interacting, because, in the city of Austin during that time, it speaks to the warmth of Texas and the opportunity as well.
Yeah, people say, what do you want? What do you want all of these international visitors to leave with when they come to Arlington? And I want them to say, I get it. I understand why Arlington's called the American Dream City. I get it, because they really do care about people there. A few unknown facts about Arlington. We are the most diverse community in the state of Texas. We are more diverse than Houston. Last year, we passed Houston for our diversity. And now, last month, we became the 3rd most diverse city in the entire country. I like to say we're the most diverse because we're the most welcoming. Mm-hmm. We don't
to all. Right.
It doesn't matter. We don't care.
Yep.
We don't care what you look like. We don't care about your ethnicity, your culture, your religious beliefs, who you love, how you love, anything like that. We just say, just come on, come all. come in here and enjoy what we have. So,
And so the
cool.
businesses that are there, what have you seen as far as that example of a landing? I mean, you just gave one really exquisite. What other countries have come into Arlington?
Oh, wow. As we walked in here today, we met a group of guys from Israel.
From Israel, that's right.
And we had partnered up. I've been to Israel on a couple of occasions. We partnered up with a company out of Tel Aviv called No Traffic, where it's an AI company that works with traffic-controlled intersections and identifying traffic problems that may occur, whether it's an accident, whether it's a train stoppage right near an intersection, whether it's just heavy traffic, and it adjusts automatically on the fly because of the AI stuff. So we started a pilot program with the No Traffic Company, which has expanded into far more intersections that we had originally planned on. That's just a small example of how we're just working on those relationships. And we'll do that with, the U.S. Conference of Mayors that I'm involved in. We'll travel around different countries. I've been to Doha, Qatar to see what they were doing for their World Cup. I went there right before their World Cup and met with their security people. They have since come to Arlington and met with our security team there. It's just been nonstop like that going on everywhere.
Wow. So what's next? I mean, that's a lot, Mayor. Like, what else are you shaping beyond the World Cup? Because I know probably from this podcast alone, you're gonna be inundated with more people wanting to come in. You're a good salesperson.
Here's the reality. We're a unique population and a unique community. Our entertainment district is the most robust in the Southwest United States. We bring nearly 17 million people a year to the Arlington Entertainment District. We have 3 large professional sports stadiums, all within walking distance of each other. We have, second only to Orlando, more Lowe's hotels that are popping up everywhere in Arlington right now. We have one of the, if not the largest, the second largest ballroom in our convention center and throughout the entire state of Texas. We have the opportunity for businesses to come in everywhere. And we stay engaged with them. I suffer through horribly bad conferences. Like they just had the Texas Cowgirl Conference.
Oh my gosh.
And I just suffered through that.
Man.
And I went up there and there was like 400 beautiful Texas cowgirls that I had to speak in front of. And, but somebody's got to do it. And
Thank God you're around there.
I worked really hard on that relationship.
I'm glad you're there. You're a hero in my book.
I told you I'm the weird mayor, all right?
Somebody's got to be there. I'm glad it was you.
Yeah, it was me. But, the reality of it is one of the big things we're doing right now is the Grand Prix of Arlington. This past few months, we hosted an inaugural Grand Prix of the Arlington Grand Prix. I met with Roger Penske, who owns the Penske Group and all of that stuff, and he was there with Jerry Jones, Cowboys owner, and Neil Liebman. And Roger told me then, he goes, Mayor, he says, this weekend in Arlington has been the best inaugural weekend in IndyCar history worldwide. He says, we've never had an inaugural weekend this successful. So we've got them committed to coming back 2 more years. Mark my word, they'll be back more and more after that. These are Indy cars that are racing around our stadiums. And it is such a phenomenal experience to be out there and see these Indy cars running around AT&T Stadium and Globe Life Field and Choctaw Stadium and seeing kind of some of the stuff going on. They have a straightaway that allows them to get up to about 195 to 200 miles per hour on city streets. That kind of stuff, you just can't put a price tag.
That's not on 35. It's like that's a normal.
That's a normal city street, man. We wrote tickets out the wazoo. No, I didn't. But I'll give you an example, and it's not just how we run the city, but it's the type of people that we have here in Texas. A few years ago, the Rangers won the World Series. Mind you, they've only won the World Series since I've been mayor. And it was entirely because of the mayor's doing that they won the World Series.
Right. You're welcome.
That's right. So we have a World Series parade in Arlington, and it finishes up at Choctaw Stadium with this massive stage and huge audience. Over 700,000 people showed up for the parade. I was with my grandson in the very first car of the parade. It was the most incredible experience ever. With over 700 people on the street, drinking and partying, guess how many arrests happened during that day?
Oh, on a handful, maybe.
Yeah, less than 10.
Wow.
Less than 10 arrests with 700,000 people out there. Now,
That's amazing.
It's a credit to our law enforcement, but it speaks even greater for the kind of people who were the Ranger fans, the North Texas people that came out and said, listen, this is something really cool.
Absolutely.
We don't need to blemish it with a bunch of shenanigans. And I jokingly tell everybody, man, if this was in Philadelphia, they'd still be putting out fires, you know?
Well, this is really inspiring, Mayor, to hear, number one, your thought process and the relationship component, because I know other cities, at least in Texas, you're a model for that, right? In hopes that they could replicate that, because as a state, we want this to be the number one state and continue to be as such, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you talk with other mayors in the state in that way?
Yeah, I think you see a lot of mayors take a similar approach in communities around not just Texas, but other states. I think where we get lost in that, to be candid, if we're going to rank politicians, mayors are my favorite. And then it goes downhill from there. It's one of those things where other politicians, they want to just keep putting the blame out there. And it becomes more focused on, let me tell you what everybody else is doing wrong instead of telling you what we're going to do good.
Right.
And, most mayors, unless you get a few that have ambitions to do other things, they just want to fill the potholes. They want to keep their community safe. I told you we're the most diverse community in Texas. We're the second safest city in the state of Texas, and we're the seventh safest city in the country. Now, that doesn't go with what people think of, wait a minute, a very diverse community can't be that safe because everybody has all these different perspectives. And I would argue if you shut up and allow the perspectives to work for you, allow the voices to be heard, then what happens is people get energized. They start to believe in the community. They start to believe in themselves. And what happens then is you end up with a super safe community. I just did a thing where I had these junior high kids come back to a particular elementary school in Arlington. When these kids were in elementary school and they were in fourth grade, they came and they said, Mayor, that street out in front of our school is pretty dangerous. And they had created models of pedestrian bridges that could go over the street to protect kids. And they came with the assistant of their teacher and they pitched a safer environment for kids crossing the street. So I took these kids, I sat down with fourth graders, and I called in my director of public works and I said, Keith, we got to look at this stuff. Are these kids wrong on this? He goes, no, it's pretty dangerous. We can't do a pedestrian bridge for a number of reasons. It was a state highway.
Sure.
But what we could do was some very significant traffic signals that would help tremendously out there. So we went to work and we created this incredibly beautiful, safe crossing, protected crossing area for these kids. And then we brought back these kids from junior high now, because it's been a few years, and we made a big deal of it where them and I were the first ones to walk across the street in a safe manner. But these are fourth graders. Lord, if we can give fourth graders an opportunity to be heard, imagine what we can do when we give adults an opportunity to be heard, regardless of their socioeconomic status, regardless of everything. I am a
the means too, right? For you to listen, right?
Yeah.
Let alone entertain that kind of a conversation and then to act on it. I mean, that's phenomenal.
I'm a 65-year-old white heterosexual Christian man. That's how I see the world. I can't help but see the world through those eyes. I've never been a woman. I've never been black. I've never been Latino. I've never been Asian. I've never been gay. I've never been Muslim or Jewish. There's a lot of things I've never been. I created 13 advisory councils who I meet with every single month. It only takes 13 hours a month to do that because I meet with each of them for an hour. I meet with all the advisory councils and I say, we go there for the purpose of saying, what do the women in Arlington really need from the city? I used to think,
focus groups in a way. But
hell, I have 3 ex-wives. I thought I knew what women wanted. Obviously, I didn't, okay? And so I brought the women in and
I said,
Mayor,
keep going.
I'm done. I brought the women in and I'm thinking women are going to want to feel safe in the community and to get equal pay for the job done. Well, that's true. That's a no-brainer. But you know what the women really wanted to know in Arlington? They came in and they said, Mayor, what are you doing for the single moms on the east side of town working 2 or 3 jobs and still can't afford childcare just to make ends meet? What are you doing to help those women out? I had no clue there was such a huge maternal instinct for the women in Arlington. And when you sit down and you start to talk to the groups, my Black Advisory Council, Latino and everything, you start to learn different perspectives. Those different perspectives is what allows us to be so successful and stuff. It's not much unlike what y'all do here. You want those different perspectives. You want that accelerator type of exchange.
It's the strength,
where
right?
you're putting people together and say, how do we make this happen? So that's what we want.
That's, I think, us surveying, we don't know who is to the left and to the right of us, right? That's part of sitting down with your buddies and understanding where they came from. It wasn't anything methodical. It's just the randomness of who you meet with.
Random, but when we were in the military, we might have done it over a beer or two.
That's right.
Might have developed a friendship, a relationship with these men and women in a more social environment that strengthened our bond in the service area.
Absolutely. And the training and the rigor and listening to them from that perspective of, hey, that's how a native New Yorker thinks.
That's right.
Right? Or a guy from Kansas in the fields.
Yeah.
So, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. That's something worthwhile to explore. And again, that's the bond itself.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Mayor, what is going on in the innovative space, right? When we talk about, you mentioned one of the technologies that you're applying. What are you most looking forward to in this next term that you have?
Oh, wow. There's a number of areas that I'm excited about. Biotechnology is one of those areas. Aerospace technology is another one. We have some pretty cool companies, CAE, eSpace, that are headquartered in Arlington, doing a lot of work for defense contractors and the like. Wealth management's another one. How do you put people with the money and money with the people? And, there are some people that have a tremendously innovative mind, but they lack the ability to really put all the pieces together. So creating those environments that allow them to learn how to connect the dots with stuff. We've all seen those type of entrepreneurs who they come up with something and you're like, wow, there's something there. But they haven't done anything to take it beyond the conceptualization. And because they don't have
put a business around it.
That's right.
They're not the tax attorney
That's
or the
exactly
lawyer
right.
or the marketing.
So that's where I get excited, is where we can find ways to help take them beyond the conceptualization phase and put some legs to their business, put some structure to it that can help move them on in a way. There's nothing more rewarding than having your own place become super successful, you know?
Yeah, those wins, those spin outs
That's
of
exactly
opportunity.
right. Yeah.
Mayor, we like to ask our guests what book either changed their life or one of the books that they're most excited about. I don't know if one falls into that category for you.
I'm reading a book right now for the third time. And I don't know why I keep reading it over and over again, but it's Flag of Our Fathers. And it's a military book, and it's about the Marines who landed on Iwo Jima. And every time I get into it, I discover other parts of it. I might have a little bias towards Marines, but
especially as you mature, right?
Yeah.
I've read several books,
Yeah.
and you look at it as you're older in a way, right? The stories that you normally would lean into, that's fascinating.
Yeah, so I'll do that every once in a while, where I'll read a great book, and then a number of years will go by, and I'm thinking, man, that was a good book, and you're trying to remember all the parts of it. So I'm going to read it again.
It's worth diving back into.
I get back into it, and the second read was easier than the first read, because you sort of remember, it starts to trigger things. And now with this time being the third time I've read this book, it's even easier, and it's more fun because I'm starting to pick up on things that I may not have caught before the first couple of reads of it. So I would recommend anybody do that with books that they really, really enjoyed.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Okay, Mayor, you're on a mission. You've been quite successful at it. Prototypically, you have those call signs when you're on a mission, whether it's on the radio or in a cockpit. You don't get to choose it, but in this case, we're going to allow you to choose your call sign.
I'd have to stick with Flintstone.
The Flintstone? Okay.
Flintstone, because it's yabba dabba do time, baby. Yeah. Let's get this thing down.
I love that. I love that.
Let's get it over with. Let's wrap this up and do it. And so I'd stick with Flintstone.
The Flintstone.
Yeah,
I love that. Okay.
Not because I'm just a big fat guy, but
no, not at all. And you're wearing shoes, which is counter to what Fred used to wear.
True. Yeah.
Well, look, I'm super excited to hear from your perspective of what we know of the power of Arlington. We've experienced it firsthand. I can substantiate everything you said as far as relationships. We've encountered that. We've brought several. You mentioned, yes, part of what Q Branch does is we bring in international and domestic, people from outside of the state of Texas to kind of find and experience what's going on. And Arlington is on our roadmap, 100%, even though, yes, you have the greatest football team there. Yes, you have the greatest sports teams in that small little area, but it is the people. We've taken them to the university several times and just kind of seeing the innovation that's happening there. I am proud to now have you here to speak more about that great city that you're in charge of.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think at the end of the day, we all want people to look at us, whether it's doing your job, whether it's being a mayor or anything like that. We want people to look and just think they cared.
They did.
They really cared, whether you care about helping them through there. But if people look at us and think, yeah, they're decent, they cared, then we've done a decent job. So
it's trust.
Yeah.
And that trust is built through relationships.
Yeah. They said, out of the 14 leadership traits they taught in the Marine Corps, the most important one was integrity. People following you because of not what you are, but who you are. And that's important.
Widely so. And I remember hearing Colin Powell in one of his speech. He says, even if it's just out of sheer curiosity, they're going to follow you. But it comes down to integrity.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You'll
appreciate
have to come
you,
back to Austin, and anything we can do for you and the city, please call upon us.
Likewise.
We're happy to do that.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Take care, brother.